Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about Land O'Lakes Butter Company. This long-running big American staple in our dinners and in our kitchens has recently had a change with their logos that's gotten a lot of people thinking about this company again. Essentially, it looks like the PC police have either taken over there or attacked the Land O'Lakes company and forced them to reconsider their logo and how they advertise their products. Just take a look at this picture here at the original logo and you'll see why people might have been concerned. This, of course, is an issue involving people being upset with Native American logos and Native American inspired mascots for different companies and stuff. This has been a long-running problem, well, quote-unquote problem, according to a lot of leftists and SJWs. They love to white knight and defend minorities and act like it makes them better than us, but really they're just kind of party poopers who like to stick their noses in where it doesn't belong and defend people who aren't even asking for it. I know a lot of Native Americans have tweeted supporting the Land O'Lakes original logo and in other situations too. For example, this usually comes up with a lot of sports teams. Sports teams tend to have these Native American inspired themes and logos and stuff too, like there's the Cleveland Indians, the Washington Redskins, so on and so forth. Lots of teams use different Native American things as their logo. And it's become an issue with sports teams over the years, a mild issue, like a not very important issue, but some teams have been forced to change and rethink and go through things, and that's kind of where we got into today with this Land O'Lakes butter situation. Now, granted, this isn't something that I would try to defend hardcore, like I don't care if the logo changes or not. I think maybe the sports teams have a better tradition and they have their mascots and people have had those logos on more things, so that's something I might defend a little harder. But as far as Land O'Lakes, I mean, it's just a butter company. It's not like people are wearing Land O'Lakes t-shirts or dressing up like they're Native American. They call it a butter maiden, I think is what they call their logo. And it's not as groundbreaking or influential in our culture, but it is a sign. It is something. It says something about what's going on. It shows that PC culture is still taking down stuff like this and still being negative Nancy's and trying to make people more politically correct. And we're not in a world, that's not a world I want to live in. Political correctness is boring, it's annoying, it's super dumb, and it just kind of ruins the mood. It kind of has destroyed comedy in recent years. Comedy has ended because of political correctness, and now we're seeing logos and other things that just, it's like you can't mention anything. You can't talk about Native Americans, you can't talk about certain religions, certain people, but if you think about it, it doesn't make a lot of sense here because although I know they could argue that some of these Native American representations are a bit offensive or possibly racist, I wouldn't necessarily go that far. I could see where some more of the caricature ones, like say the Cleveland Indians, might seem a little more offensive. But at the same time, we're talking about Land O'Lakes today, and this is just a thing of butter, and it just has a really interesting, good-looking picture of the Land O'Lakes. There it is right there. And there's the girl with the headband. I mean, there's nothing negative about this. The only negative thing is like, oh, maybe they shouldn't be using this Native American to sell stuff. I don't know. Maybe the company is owned by the wrong race or something, according to leftists. According to them. I'm not trying to make their stance, but I think you know what I mean. And I think you could see that this is a fine adaptation. It's nothing wrong here. It's actually, in a lot of ways, it's respectful. It's honoring the people that used to live in this country. I mean, there's still a few Native Americans, there's small tribes here or there, but this is respect to our country's history, a respect to this land and the people that were here actually before this was even a country. So we're talking about Native Americans, we're talking about people that roamed the lands and before there was even civilization here. And this just pays homage to them, just like how the sports teams do, just like how other things do. This is just an homage, but it's been perverted and now the leftist media is going against it. So with that said, let's get into this article. I found one from BuzzFeed that has some good examples. It says, Land O'Lakes took the butter maiden off their packaging and now people are having meltdowns over it. I believe that's a pun on melting butter. And here's the next quote. It says, after 100 years, Land O'Lakes announced they're removing the butter maiden from their packaging. Now, this is where I get trouble. Like, I knew this was an old company. I didn't know it was 100 years old. And that's a lot of tradition. That's a lot of years. I mean, I understand maybe wanting to update stuff, but I think this removal is definitely SJW related, which makes it a little more troubling, a little more upsetting. But again, definitely mild, but it's a milestone that's worth noting. Yeah, that's what they call her, the Butter Maiden. Their new packaging puts more emphasis on farmer-owned. Okay, and then here's a new packaging. It's okay. I mean, I think it's definitely loses a lot of flavor. That's another pun. A lot of flavor there with the butter, and there's no made in there. And yeah, I think the one anything with the face on it is going to have more attention. Like faces draw people in. They're better logos. Putting someone's face on something is the ultimate way to advertise. And yeah, this one just looks plain to me. It just blends in. I mean, I don't think they're necessarily going to lose business because of this, but some people might be upset. I don't think we need to start a protest or anything, but it's definitely not as good a box. It just says farmer owned. They could have replaced it with another person or something. I don't know. I mean, I guess this is the easiest way to fix it. Just take the girl out, essentially, putting farmer owned on top. It's not much, but yeah, it's not as good for sure. The packaging may eventually feature photos of actual Land O'Lakes farmers or co-op members. Yeah, that would be better. Something on there. Switch it to a farmer. If the company is run by white people and they don't want Native American ads, put the white farmer on there or something like that. If that's how you want to play it, I don't like that kind of identity politics, but it's definitely better than the plain thing. We've recognized we need packaging that reflects the foundation and heart of our company culture, they explained. Then we got another just plain thing. As one would totally expect in the glorious year of 2020, people are outraged. I rebuke it in the name of the Lord. This is some kind of meme with some lady yelling, big lady. They're really mad at butter and they're boycotting it. Get the hell out of my house, okay? Land O'Lakes can kiss this butter buyer. My family has been a Land O'Lakes family since I can remember. No more. I'm fine with store brand from here on out. Your virtue signaling lost you some good customers who were always willing to pay more for your product. Bye-bye, LOL. Okay, again, a little dramatic, I understand, but I think the point is to take a stand against the virtue signaling, like this tweet mentions. I mean, I don't know if I would boycott anything. I never bought this butter specifically. Like, I just buy whatever butter, but I do understand, like, people have their brands, and I'm sure there's a lot of, like, chefs and ladies in the kitchen, different people that cook, like they have a butter they'll always use. And a lot of them probably have Land O'Lakes as an option. They're probably using it in a certain dish or something, and they would always go to Land O'Lakes because you can have that consistency. It's been around forever. So I could see why some people might want to change and protest against that and say, hey, I'm going to go for the cheap stuff. Because like this lady mentioned, it sounds like Land O'Lakes is a little bit premium, maybe a few cents, few dollars more than just the regular butter. So if I saw that and I was like, oh, am I going to get Land O'Lakes? It's like, no, I'll get the store brand, save a few bucks, and not support this virtue signaling, because that's what it is at the end of the day. This is another example of woke advertising in a way. I mean, it's not as bad as, say, Nike or one of those other companies that has an ad about feminism and some other stuff filled with lies. We're definitely not there. So that's the trick about this story. It's kind of a mild problem. It's kind of interesting, but not the biggest thing to get excited about. But it is example of kind of virtue signaling in advertising, trying to pander to leftists too. That's the problem that I think other people will have, is that they act like they're trying to be more open and more pro-equality or something, but really they're pandering to leftists and isolating their base. And also a lot of conservatives are going to be turned off by this too. So I think they could have done better by just maybe quietly changing this. I don't know if they even announced it. People would just notice after it happened, but I guess they could have phased it out better or done it more, not secretly, but just maybe like switch the thing out. Like the way they just took out the girl looks weird to me. They should have had another person ready to go on there. You caved to the perpetually offended. I will not purchase it again, this man screamed. I bought it all my life. You caved to the perpetually offended. Dumping the icon lady on your products, really? Makes me want to throw up. A profile picture of a dog wrote on Facebook. So yeah, BuzzFeed is definitely having the negative angle here. BuzzFeed is leftist. They're probably in full support of this. They're all thinking, oh, thank God we saved the Native Americans. Thank God we've got a company pandering to us. So these reporters like that, people like BuzzFeed, they get off on that. They like to be acknowledged, and they like to see that their woke culture is prevalent. And that's what this is a sign of. This is a sign of Land O'Lakes acknowledging leftist ideology, virtue signaling, and BuzzFeed is kind of backing them up with these icons and the way they frame this stuff up. I mean, these are some dumb comments, but they're cherry picking and trying to make it look bad. Like, oh, this person screamed, this person has a dog profile picture, just undermining everything. This person said hasta la vista, baby, but might consider saying hola if they bring the logo back. This person said they're going to keep the old Land O'Lakes packages as mementos. yeah, I can see where it's a tradition. And again, it's not like a product I've been super familiar with, but I have seen it. I have used it. I know it's been in different kitchens. I've in my family over the years. We like to cook, we like to eat. I'm sure it's been there, but I don't remember it specifically. And I do think it compares though. Like it reminds me of like Aunt Jemima on the syrup bottle. Like imagine just taking that logo off. I think that actually was a logo that was offensive at 1.2 because I think it's just supposed to be the stereotypical black lady. But again, I don't find a problem with that. I think people can advertise whatever they want, but this kind of caving in is a problem. And taking off these figureheads and these mascots is kind of annoying and an issue. I mean, it's something mild, but it's like, okay, imagine if KFC took off the Colonel. You know, the guy with the Colonel and his mustache? Like, what if McDonald's got rid of, Ronald McDonald? Like, these are main things, main staples in these companies. And then to just take them away, especially after so long, after 100 years, like, couldn't they have at least just tried to, like, remodel her? Or, like, they could have made her a modern Native American, or they could have switched her to, like, a farming Native American. I don't know. I don't know what the options are. I'm not a scientist, but this definitely seems like a bad move. And this person is going to switch to the brand with the deer on it. Okay, there's deer butter now. Removing your traditional Indian maiden from your package. I'm removing your product from my fridge. As is your right as an American. God bless them. Pathetic, someone else said. Grow a spine. Not a bad point. Screw you. Okay, we've got some real excitable people here. No iconic Indian maiden. No more purchases from me. Yeah, I can see why it's upsetting, iconic. Not the biggest deal for us, but if people are into it, if that's their favorite butter, if they're cooking with it every week, you are going to be more passionate. Land O'Lakes will now be Land of the Lost. Okay. So yeah, the year is 2020. We're in the midst of a global pandemic and people are really mad at butter. A truly historic moment for the history books. I could see the irony there. I could see the other side. Like, I understand this is a more benign thing, but again, it matters to some people, especially if you're using the butter. I'm sure the people at the company have some issues with this too. I mean, I know the marketing department and the president and CEO all okayed this. They were probably pressured, but I bet you a lot of those workers, a lot of the people with this tradition in their lives, they're going to be questioning and thinking, hey, why are we caving in? What's wrong with this? I don't see any issue. It's just some lady on the butter. She looks fine to me. And yeah, it's a big cave in, a big win for the left. But also, I think it's going to wake up some people on the right. Some people on our side are going to be thinking, hey, this is messed up. Why are we going this far with such little benign stuff? Like, how far is it going to go? How far, like if we're talking about butter logos, when is it going to be like, oh, let's look at the logos on some paper company. Let's look at the people that make bread. It's like every little thing is scrutinized and talked about and called racist. And it's just going to wake people up and it's going to get a response. It's going to get an overcorrection, I think. And I think it's due. It's due to be time to push back against the PC culture like we're trying to do here, like people have been doing on YouTube for a little while. And we need to keep it going in the right direction, in the conservative, anti-SJW direction. Hopefully you guys can help and support in that too. So thanks for watching today's video. Comment your thoughts on everything below and make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed this video. It really helps the show. Subscribe if you're new, and until next time, you guys have a good day.